Simbano, in partnership with Faith to Action, are the ones who coordinated the whole process of developing the interfaith briefs. So we started off in discussions with Faith to Action, where we wanted to look into how can we get faith leaders and faith institutions talking around SRHR, GBV, and teenage pregnancy.
First, we have to appreciate that women and girls have been disadvantaged more than any other group when it comes to issues of gender-based violence. And definitely the issue of teenage pregnancy is one issue that affects and impacts on the life of a woman, of a girl, for the rest of their lives.
Maybe starting from why even the interfaith briefs and how they were even developed. It was around, when we brought different faiths together, faith organizations together, and we said, let's discuss our sacred text and see what they're saying around SRHR, teenage pregnancy, and GBV. So we had a whole discussion, and then we agreed on terms, on languaging, on what needed to be said. We were quite intentional to say we don't want to limit it to one particular faith, because we also wanted to show that connection, that linkage, and just to build on issues around religious tolerance, So what we also did, we were quite specific to say we need Protestants, we'll need the Baha'i, we'll need the Muslim communities to be part of this conversation.
We were part of the development of the interfaith briefs, and we were also part of the implementation of the same. So we gave our input when we were still developing the briefs, where we did dialogues with Zimbabwean faith leaders to get their views on issues of SRHR and gender justice, and also harmful practices. We're also part of the editing, and we shared content until its finalization. Then we took those policy briefs back to the faith leaders in Zimbabwe to have a discussion and to say, this is what we worked on and agreed on, and this is the final product. Do you agree with that? And they agreed with the contents of the briefs. Then we started cascading them, training faith leaders on how to use the policy briefs in their advocacy initiatives, both in the churches, in their structures, and also at national level advocacy when it comes to SRHR and the role of religion in ending gender-based violence.
These interfaith briefs, as he already highlighted, that they are in three main areas: gender-based violence, then teenage pregnancies, and the SRHR. One thing I know is that when you talk of sexual reproductive rights, are issues which are rarely tackled in the church by the faith community, because they are regarded as sometimes a taboo to speak about sexuality in the church. So coming out with the brief, which is information which is presented in a faith context specific, address and communicate sexual reproductive health messages, is I tell you, filling that gap which was there. So this is one of the deserving information which the faith community was lacking. And also you talk of the gender-based violence. Sometimes we just take it for granted that in the church, because we preach the word of God on the pulpit, people come, pray, then we take it for granted that people are not suffering. This has led to many people who belong to the faith community to suffer in silence. So the coming in of the interfaith brief on the gender-based violence has really is really a timely intervention which is addressing the genuine issues existing in the faith community.
We, as the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, focused mainly on gender-based violence. We recognized that as an issue that we needed to deal with. So what we did is we ran a 7-week campaign. The 7-week campaign was called Freedom from Fear, Methodists Against Gender-Based Violence. So the campaign was launched by these leaders of the church, and they launched it through a process of confession, lamenting, and repenting over the role that the church has played in entrenching gender-based violence, both within our churches and in communities at large. And what our members say they appreciated included the honesty, first and foremost, in the church just acknowledging that gender-based violence is an actual problem, that we have a problem, and that the problem is not over there, but it's over here. It's also within.
We cannot continue keeping our heads buried in the dust when the entire body is exposed. Things have been exposed, what victims and perpetrators within our family ties, and these issues to do with gender-based violence, these issues to do with sexual reproductive health and rights, issues to do with teenage pregnancies are happening within our homes, within our places of work, within our places of worship. What do we do? What do we contribute?
Any faith organization that wants to start dialogue or conversation around GBV, around sexual reproductive health, around teenage pregnancy, I would tell them that they don't have to start from ground zero, that others have gone to ground zero for them. There are already existing tools in form of the policy briefs that they can use as a starting point. So it is important for them to note that these are issues, and they are really issues that are very much alive in the communities. But then they also are issues that require a lot of courage to face, a lot of courage to act, and a lot of courage to even have discussions and dialogues around.